I will call to order the special virtual meeting of the Darien Police Commission, 2406. First order of business is the acceptance of the minutes of February 23rd. I will make a motion to approve. Second.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Correspondence, Chief? You're muted.
Yeah, we'll get this right someday with the mute. I do have one letter from a Stanford resident. His car was entered in the Country Club of Darien parking lot. Officer Chris Jimenez did a stellar job on the follow-up investigation, which resulted in the arrest of the person responsible. And thanks, the gentleman wrote a sizable thank you check to the Darien Police Association. He also provided Officer Jimenez a gift card in thanks for his service. And just to reiterate, for people who might not know, the town's policy is that if you get a gift card in the performance of your duties, that's handed over to the Human Services Department to assist one of their clients. So that gift card was given over to Allie at the Human Services Department to assist their agency. Well, we're much appreciative of getting gifts. The policy for police officers has been long-standing that performance of your regular duty are not subject to getting gratuities. So it was a win-win for everybody involved. But Chris Jimenez did a really excellent job with this follow-up, brought the case to a successful conclusion. So he deserves some credit there. Good credit.
Well,
appreciate the letter from.
Be recognized even if you can't keep the gift certificate, gift card. All right, Captain Marin, department activity.
Yes, ma'am. This was from February 23rd up until yesterday. On February 25th, 2 vehicles parked in the Mechanic Street commuter lot were vandalized and damaged by rocks. On February 26th, the 53-year-old West Haven man was arrested for a violation of probation based on motor vehicle and narcotics violations he was charged with in Darien in 2017. On March 1st, a 41-year-old Darien woman was arrested for her role in a domestic violence incident. On March 3rd, we received 2 separate reports of graffiti in Sellex Woods. March 4th, a 19-year-old Elmhurst, New York man was arrested by warrant for burglary and larceny charges for his involvement in the theft from a motor vehicle at the Country Club of Darien. That was the incident that Officer Jimenez was involved in. March 4th, a 29-year-old Stanford woman was arrested for several identity theft, larceny, and forgery charges for involvement in the theft and fraudulent use of personal checks that had been stolen from residents of a senior living facility in Darien in January of this year. The woman was employed by the facility at the time of the incidents. On March 2nd, shortly before 9 p.m., a 31-year-old Bridgeport woman was arrested for DWI after an officer on patrol found her unresponsive while sitting in the driver's seat of her vehicle in the parking lot of an Old Kings Highway North business. On March 8th, a Delafield Island Road resident sustained minor damage as a result of a structure fire, which was caused by construction work being performed. No one was injured in the incident, fortunately. On March 9th, a Brookside Road resident reported that a personal check she had placed in her mailbox in February as outgoing mail had been stolen, altered, and deposited for a different amount to another payee. A resident of Raymond Heights fell victim to identity theft in which personal identifying information was used to purchase additional cellular phones and services which were charged to the victim's existing account. And believe it or not, we had one overnight burglary of an unlocked car and no stolen motor vehicles in this time period, although I did read a quick report this morning that we had a couple cars get entered on Allwood Road early this morning. 11 motor vehicle accidents, one of which involved minor injuries, and again, most of which occurred on Route 1.
That's a good trend on the car burglaries and theft.
And I do know, I have some firsthand knowledge that just over the line in our neighboring jurisdictions, they haven't been as fortunate over the past 2 weeks.
Well, let's hope that continues. I don't, the message getting out that our cars are locked or we were just lucky in the 2 weeks, but that's.
It'd be a combination, right?
Yep. Okay. Any questions for Captain Marin? Old business. Chief, COVID-19?
Fortunately, not much new on COVID-19. We remain COVID-19 free here. Most of our people, as you know, have been inoculated, and we're looking forward to some sense of normalcy in the spring into the summer. Good news is the CDC guidance on travel looks like it's going to be rolled back. We're in the process of being rolled back to people that are vaccinated. So I'm hoping that we can put this in our rearview mirror soon.
Agreed. Building update.
Defer to the good captain.
Okay, it looks like our sewer issue has been resolved. We made it through the winter without any further problems there. So much so that I spoke with Tony Campanella today from DPW, and we're going to move ahead and start to recarpet the female locker room. Also, I spoke with Tony today. We're going to have another meeting with Automated Logic in reference to the HVAC issue in the PD. There's still some odds and ends that need to be wrapped up. A couple of sections of the building are still a little troublesome, so we're going to try to resolve that. So that's going to be coming up in the next couple of weeks. The fob project is on track, probably about another 3 to 4 weeks with that project. And that is it.
One thing that I can add, the commission does know we had an OSHA inspection here. A lot of buildings and departments in the town were inspected by OSHA. I don't classify anything that we had was, really out of the ordinary. OSHA might take a different stance of that, but my point being here is that all of the issues that OSHA identified for us have been rectified or are in the process of being rectified to their satisfaction. So, as always, I believe we run a very safe and efficient operation here in our building, and we're always looking towards making it as safe as we can. So as far as that goes, I think we're in a good place.
Well, that is certainly good to hear. Update on hiring.
We had to push that out a little bit. Unfortunately and sadly, the gentleman that runs the test for the CPCA that runs off a police app, he passed away not too long ago. So the entry level and lateral tests were postponed. So Lieutenant Hadema extended our deadline for applications to May 5th to give the lateral officers additional chances to take the written exam, because they canceled all the written exams for a period of time temporarily until they can get a new vendor. So they're working on the new vendor, and when that is put in place, they're announcing a couple extra dates in April for them to take the exam. So she made the closing date May 5th just to make sure everybody can get in there.
We just received that email from the CPCA this afternoon indicating that they're in the process of contracting with a new vendor to do this testing. The identity of that company or any further details is not released yet, but they are in the process of working on it. So I think in short order, they'll have that squared away and get testing back on track.
Yes, that would be nice. If it's not one thing, it's another. Goodness. Okay, any questions for Captain Shredders on that? Not, we'll go on to new business. Traffic issues. Is that also you, Captain?
We had a request. As everybody knows, the parking in and around the schools has been an issue. One issue has been around homeschool, the parking on Lake Drive. They're parking on both sides of the street there, which is making it troublesome. So there's a request to have one side marked as no parking temporarily until the COVID issue and the issue with the schools and the buses has been resolved.
So commissioners, I don't know if you had a chance to take a look at that photo. I think the snow and the inclement weather kind of complicated things when this photo was sent, but over the past couple of months, and as you know, we receive daily complaints of traffic around the schools. Lake Drive has become problematic enough that with the parking on both sides and the snow on the ground, pedestrians were forced to walk in the only travel portion that was remaining on the road. And we've received correspondence from not only the school, but residents in the area requesting to post at least one side temporarily no parking. So I think that's what we're looking for authorization for today on Lake Drive.
And Captain, temporarily is probably through the end of the school year. And are the residents requesting it thereafter, or not necessarily?
You know, specifically, they requested, one particular resident requested just at, if it could be parked or posted at drop off and pickup times, which obviously we're not going to have custom made signs for that particular usage, but our temporary no parking signs, I envisioned, would just be posted throughout the end of the school year.
Yeah, it was clearly problematic based on that picture.
That picture is not good.
And we've had other incidents, near misses, but you know, then again, all the schools are reporting similar.
And do they have an opinion, or you have an opinion which side? You go out and look at, see which makes most sense? We don't have.
Yeah, I think we'd like to do that first, coordinate with the chief and Captain Shredders.
Yeah, just at first blush, I would think that we would post the north side as no parking. That way, no one has to cross the street to get into a car. You would be on, you know, if you allow parking on the south side, that would be more amenable. And it's being that it's temporary, it shouldn't be too onerous, but that would be my first blush on that.
All right, well, we don't. So you need a motion from us to approve temporary no parking signage on one side of Lake Drive. Is that?
That's correct.
All right, I will make a motion that we approve temporary signage posting no parking on one side of Lake Drive to be determined by the captains, and I think that's all. Second,
Second the motion.
any discussion additional? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Back to my agenda. Legal, I'm just looking for the agenda here.
Legislative updates is the next thing and last thing, I believe, on the agenda.
I think Kim may be frozen. So Chief, do you want to go ahead with that and talk about, I think one is SROs and whatnot?
I think she is frozen unless she's intently reading something. I don't know, I'm not even sure she can hear us. But no, I will certainly, well, there's a couple things here that I sent to the commission via email. One is the revised language on use of force. And as the commission knows through previous discussions on this bill in the state of Connecticut, this is kind of a major, almost seismic change as initially crafted on use of force for police officers in the state of Connecticut. This is a tough job to do. We do things very quickly sometimes, and you know, the Supreme Court has long held that we are not supposed to be judged to a Monday morning quarterback standard, where in the, you know, non-heat of the moment in a courtroom or in some kind of, you know, quiet reflection that we can always be judged. So Judiciary Committee has been working hard on crafting language here, modifying what was passed last summer. And this is coming out of the committee now. It will be going to the House and Senate. And if you review the document, I think it is much more workable, and it does allow reasonable conduct on the part of police officers. So the CPCA, although this language is not exactly what the CPCA and maybe most officers in the state of Connecticut would have been looking for, anyone that knows me, has talked to me, knows if the word reasonable is in a sentence, it's probably a reasonable document. And this is something, as it came out of committee, and I hope it is passed by the House and Senate, it is a bill and a law that we can work with here. It does push out the mandated training and effective date to January 1st of 2022. all the experts, training experts in the state of Connecticut, chiefs of police, we're all in agreement that this is a major seismic change in training, and that we'll need that long to get this training out to our officers. Right? It's incumbent upon me as the chief, and I think you as the commission, right, to make sure that our officers know the rules. Once they know the rules, we're going to work within the rules. But in baseball, you get 4 balls or 3 strikes. This one here, we have to make sure that all our officers know exactly what the rules are before it goes into effect, and then we will operate lawfully as we always do. So I think this is a reasonable compromise. It doesn't have a lot of as many absolutes as it had originally, right? Where it said an officer would have to exhaust all other options before using potentially deadly force. Exhaust it all. That was not a reasonable standard in my mind. The language now says, reasonably determined that there are no available options. Well, that's a little bit more real life, in my opinion, and certainly it's stricter than what we had before, but I think it's workable, and I think that we can, our officers here are trained to such a high level that we can do that training. The officers will know the law, and we will operate within the law. So I think it's a good step forward for us as a profession.
And meeting the training between now and then, we're good to go.
As our commission well knows, we got a crack training division overseen by Captain Shredders. We will be ready to go, and we will meet that deadline. And I can pretty much guarantee you, if it's effective January 1st, we're not going to be meeting the deadline on December 29th. We'll be ahead of the curve, as we usually are in our agency. So yes, no thought here that we will not be able to meet that deadline with our training division and our officers.
Okay. All right, I had froze at the beginning. You have other legislative.
The other one that I sent along to the commission, and I think I sent it maybe once before, was the act concerning SROs, right? There is still a movement afoot from some folks in state government to, to start the process to remove school resource officers from all schools across the state of Connecticut. Our SRO program has been an unqualified success from the, right from the jump. I don't think we have to, in any way, shape, or form, apologize for the success of our school resource officer program. There may be problems with school resource officer programs in other municipalities in the state of Connecticut. There is no problems with the SRO program here in Darien. I have never heard one negative comment from anyone for as long as we've had an SRO program. I think it's widely and highly regarded by parents. I think it's highly regarded by school administrators. And I think it's a testament to, yet again, another Darien program that is crafted properly, funded properly, and overseen properly. And it's been working, to a T in both the middle school and the high school. So I don't know how much traction this will get. I mean, it's just not here in Connecticut, it's across the country as well. I think it's incumbent upon us to, and when we have these conversations, to get it out to folks of what our SRO program is and what it is not, and why ours works the way it does, and why we shouldn't be painted with a broad brush. If there's SRO issues in other municipalities, why ours should not be lumped in with that same bushel. So we're going to continue monitoring it. I'm clearly not in favor of removing the SROs from our schools, nor do I think most parents would be in favor of removing SROs from schools. We will continue watching it. I just want the commission to have their ear to the ground and know what we're watching day to day on these type of legislative activities.
Yeah,
What's
Chief,
the
I think that's well put. I mean, I'll echo your same comments. I'll be very clear from my perspective. It's a local decision. Norwalk, if you take a look at Norwalk, I believe they have SROs not only at the high school, but also in the elementary schools. I think that's their decision and what the residents want. I think Darien, the same thing. I think we're an example of a very successful program here. So.
Either the captains want to add anything to the topic?
And we had a conversation earlier this week, the chief and I, with a young lady who was interning at town hall. We had the opportunity to kind of explain to her, as the chief said, what the SRO program is and what it is in here. And, you know, I'm not going to say every kid will utilize the resources of the officers that are in the school, but we have had a major impact in a lot of kids' lives. And we've seen the turnaround in it. We've seen people come back and talk to former SROs and tell them they want to become a police officer because of it. I think it's a misunderstood program in other municipalities, possibly. But again, as the chief said, I firmly believe that, you know, as well as other programs too, I don't think we can be painted with a broad brush and make a overall ruling on what we should be doing or not doing with SROs, or for that matter, like I said, other programs that we're involved in.
I think it's also, you know, important to point out that our SROs are there to be mentors and to be resources for students and faculty, but mostly for students, right? Our school resource officers are not doing criminal investigation. Not to say that if they don't see an on-site crime occurring that they are not going to intervene. They certainly are going to do that. But they are not there to do criminal investigations. And if there are allegations of crime, that information is turned over to our youth detectives to investigate, because of the fact that the SRO is there as a resource and needs to be seen as approachable and, you know, as a mentor for the kids and a resource, and not as an enforcement agent. That's a very important distinction to make in my mind. And our SROs were on, you know, our second one in the high school and our first one in Middlesex. And they have been, without fail, they have been that mentor type resource, and certainly not heavy-handed in any way, shape, or form. You know, if you watch TV in the 60s for police shows, right, it wasn't us versus them thing. There was a professional aloofness from the police. It was supposed to be the police on this side, the good guys, the criminals on this side. Well, in the last intervening 50 years, there's been a movement to bring to the police to the middle as part of the community. And this is a prime example of that, right? We are the police are the public, and the public are the police. We are part of the community, and I think we're a good part of the community in our schools. And I think that we should continue on. And as Commissioner Hayes said, this should be a local decision. If any municipality wants to remove school resource officers, that's where that decision should lie.
Chief, I just got a note from Commissioner Hufford that she's having some tech problems, so I don't know if she's still on.
I see she has a blank screen. I can see her microphone is green, but I can't see her, and I guess we can't hear her anyway. I got a text from her as well. It says, "Thank you, Verizon. I've been dropped." She's trying from the phone. She says, "Continue on without her." That's really what I have on SROs. Ours is a success story. There's a lot of things that we do in our police department over our last 95 years have been. I don't see any reason to alter our course at this point. Certainly not with the results that we've gotten.
I think we're wrapping up anyway, right? I mean, Kevin, any other comments on your end, or anybody else? Kevin, I would suggest maybe we just communicate via email in the next meeting, just so we can check with Kim as well.
Okay.
One more thing real quick on the SRO. I believe I sent the Police Commission a PDF of the actual memorandum of understanding that was crafted between then Chief Osborne and the school superintendent. This MOU is now up for renewal, so I would like the Police Commission to take a look at this as we look to craft new MOUs now between the high school and Middlesex and the Darien Police Department. I think the MOU is fairly comprehensive. There may be some tweaks that we need to do. We might need to tweak it a little bit in the Middlesex angle, but I think we can successfully do that. And before the end of the school year, I'd like to have that in place. Welcome back, Commissioner Hufford.
Verizon. As promised, at least I'm not the 911 people who are trying to work through Verizon. I'm low on the totem pole of important people, but it's nice to be back.
Kim, I think we're pretty much done. I don't know if you want to decide now on the next meeting or not, or Do that over email?
Yeah, well, while I still have a connection, let's do that.
Our next regularly scheduled meeting would be April 1st. Oh, well, no, it would be the 18th, but I don't think we don't need to go next Thursday.
No,
April 1st would be our next regularly scheduled meeting.
does that work for people?
4
I'm good.
4 p.m.
4 p.m.?
Now, the question is, do we go virtual or do we come back in person?
Wha-
3 people in uniforms have all been inoculated, just for the record.
And I'll have to fess up that I'm over 55, so I've been inoculated. But the 2 young ones on the commission, I think, will not have been inoculated by April 1st. Why don't we say virtual, and if we decide to appear, we can appear and still figure out how to do it. But
Fair enough.
one more, if I can get Verizon to work, I'll be all set. But why don't we say one more virtual, and then we hope that April will have fully turned the corner. Does that work?
Sounds good to me.
Okay. April 1st, 4 p.m. And anything else? Will be regular. Nothing else? I've got nothing else. Everyone good?
All good.
Good.
Stand adjourned. Thanks, everybody.
Take care.